Mark in the count. The swing arm now coming back as our countdown continues.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tabitha Soren, and this is Kurt Loader, and you're watching. Hi, everybody. I'm Brick Something, and I'm joined today by Ozstradamus Toyz. I was feeling that strong MT. Never mind.
Yes.
Legally distinct intro to the Brick Something.
Yeah, totally.
It's okay. There's like, what, how many of us now that even know what it is? Anyways.
Well, Josh Brown is with us because I just see immediately. Where's Kennedy?
Perfect. Yes, exactly. How's it going, everybody? Hope you're doing well on this Sunday afternoon. Hopefully I'm not yelling too. Sorry, I'm doing this weird setup thing. But before that, we got Ozstradamus Toyz, who has been here several times now. What's up, Oz?
Man, feels good to be back on the news, brother. I know it just seems like it wasn't too long ago. We were joined by several of us that were all just going first timers and talking about our anticipation and what we're excited and hopefully seeing.
Yep.
And now it's like, well, we went, and I gotta say, yeah, I think we were pretty pumped, and a lot of what we were talking about, we did kind of see. So it's intense.
Yes. And the thing is, I feel like as time goes on, I know people are like, yeah, Legion's Con was like several weeks ago. But like as time goes on and I keep seeing stuff on social media and YouTube, I'm like,
there's
oh yeah,
lot.
Another thing I didn't see. Another thing I didn't see. And this is after Thomas and I last weekend kind of went through stuff, and I was like, we filled up on ideas, stuff to do, and I was like, man, there's still more to cover. So if you're all that to say, if you're sick of it, because
we're not entirely sorry.
Yeah, because there's plenty to talk about, but we'll sprinkle in some other things today. So I think the plan today is, since Oz and I were both there, let's continue to look at some of the stuff that we haven't talked about yet. Specifically, though, like I've had this running sort of hypothesis out there. I guess I was starting to remind you as I was talking through it earlier. Man, I can't talk today. Anyway. The other week with Emil Wickman, we were talking about, I brought up how like Four Horsemen seems to be like this creative hub of toy making, right? And toy collecting, where it's like they are kicking ass at what they do, right? 10 years ago, they started this line called Mythic Legions, and it's since like spawned Cosmic Legions and Figure Obscura. They did their whole system that they created, which is definitely a unique approach to modern action figures that isn't necessarily completely replicated by other lines, right? This idea of pop and swap, take apart, arms completely apart, etc. And then now we were just talking about over on Highly Articulated how like they're exploring even more articulation and new things with the 3.0. Yeah,
that's right.
And then we for folks who've been paying attention to the Legion's Con reveals and G-Con reveals, they not only like announce this new wave that has new body types and body parts, like snake bodies, double arm, double elbows, double knee joints, some butterflies in the mix. They introduced a crazy dragon, right?
New digitigrade parts for the legs. I'm gonna make sure that we phrase that, because I called it like I first jumped it in as tardigrade in the chat, and I was like, wait, tardigrade's a stupid microorganism. What is that?
And I think I did something like reticulated, which is more the same thing. Anyway, we're nerds.
Yeah, we
but
are.
In addition to that innovation, like they announced like even more lines, Infinite Legions, right?
Yeah.
What's the other one? The Mythic Legions, like.
So we've got Infinite Legions. That's
Mhm.
like other properties that they're going to be doing in the Mythic style, which is going to be
Right.
really cool. Then they've got the Legacy, like
That's it.
Mythic Legacies, where
Mhm.
older figures that we would normally see like a 2.0 and maybe an All-Stars wave,
Yep.
that's going to be a line completely dedicated to redoing older figures in
Yep.
that more 2.0 style. And of course, they show Otho,
Sorry, before
which
Curtis Ackerman kicks your butt. Not the 2.0 style, the
not
version 2 style. Have
right.
you heard him? Yeah, I don't know
Version
if you've ever.
2. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's very
that drives
specific
him up the
because
wall. That drives him up the wall, which
yeah,
is
say 2.0. That's the body style for the more leaner bodies.
God, nerds are nerdy, man. We are
Ooh, so nerdy. Quick to correct.
and I freaking love it.
Right.
Okay. So on that note, just like this notion that they're innovating while bringing in like all these other toy companies and like all these different toy brands have essentially launched, largely in
Yeah.
part at Legion's Con and, like, Galactic Valor last year, right? The Meta Travelers, Armies of Ashmore. So what I'd like to do is kind of talk a little bit more about those indie toy lines that were there. Thomas and I kind of covered a couple like Plunderlings and Odious. And there was one other that I'm blanking on at the moment. So let's cover the ones that weren't there. And then let's go ahead and like branch a little bit away from the Legion's Con thing and just talk about like, hey, it's a new year coming up. What are the either indie or, these sort of like smaller companies coming from overseas? What are those things that are coming out in 2025 that you and I are both looking forward to?
Right.
Yeah. Cool. And the other thing is I got to acknowledge the elephant in the room. As Paynes has cited, it looks like you're kind of face naked.
Okay.
Naked face.
It's so Payne, I was over that stash before I even left that stash. Okay. So a couple months back, I had said something like, if I end up monetizing before the end of the year, I will shave. Then I also told myself and everybody else, but I'll do it after Christmas because I wanted to have my bushy beard for my Santa hat. Yeah, well, not just Santa hat, my whole Santa outfit. I have the whole costume. But yeah, there was this growing anxiety. Like I've already got pretty bad anxiety in a lot of ways. Sometimes you can't tell from my online personality here, but it was really, really bugging me. I was like, you know what? I just want to get rid of it so I could say I did it. I shaved, and then I can start working on growing it back. And the stash comment comes from one of my earliest Patreons, Highly in Dread, had mentioned something about keeping the stash. And I am not a stash dude. I'm sorry. After you've seen Joe Gonzalez's stash, you just kind of like want to give up in life because you know it'll never be that good.
Yeah, that's a fully living organism on its
own.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I left it for the episode of The Frenzy that we just did on Skelevator's channel this Thursday. If you want to see me with a really creepy stash, go check out The Frenzy from Thursday. But otherwise, that stash does not exist. I don't do the stash.
It's on the internet, and I just posted the link to the live chat. So definitely check that out. This is Babyface Oz. The part of me, after the clubhouse last night, we hang out every Saturday night over on Oz's channel, the Ozstradamus Toyz channel. After that conversation, I thought about just shaving it for today. But then, sorry.
No, Prick, don't mess with it. You have no obligation to do this for people.
In solidarity.
I appreciate the solidarity. We got that going, right? I got mine lined with my pin collection. The only one I don't have on is the Wolf King custom pin because it's just too much weight. It was pulling down the whole beanie.
Yeah.
That'll go on the backpack, though.
Well, you look good. You look young.
Thank you.
You fresh face, gorgeous man, you. And I'm grateful for you to join us today in the spirit of the holiday. Let's say hello to everybody else. We already said hello to Paynes, but we could say hello again. What's up? Thank you for calling us kids, but we're old. Thanos, what's up, man? Thanks again in advance for helping and I'm gonna probably need you to school us on some Warcraft. Larry's Geeky World, what's going on, man? Good to see you. Larry earlier in Adam Highly Articulated show was saying that he might be getting his first legions in Laodicea. So I'm
Right?
excited for you, friend.
I see a theme with that White Ranger tiger helmet on there. We got a thing for the felines. Go for it.
Ray Paz is here saying hello to everybody and instructing you to be violent against the like button. I've heard the like button's been talking trash, so go ahead and smack it. Legend Series, hello, sir, or madam, or whoever that may be on the other end.
That is Tony.
Okay. Nice to see you there. Sorry, I don't. Yeah, hello. Josh Brown, friend of the channel, friend of good people. What's up, man? We'll talk a little bit about his stuff at the show.
Yes.
Nolan's here.
We're
Yabba dabba doo. This is a mad bear. I wish, why can't we show?
So it's
stream
your member emoji.
Oh,
of the homage figure to me,
yes,
and that's why I put it.
That's what it is. Man, I wish we could see them. Whack.
No, StreamYard's terrible with that.
This guy, Vine Jungle Figure Factory, who was on the clubhouse last night, just given like a master class in how to build a world. That
stole the whole show after that last night.
It was pretty amazing, man. He is he was super inspirational. I'm bummed I had to leave at that point, but I kept flipping it back on and off to kind of see what was going on. My eyes were like, whoa.
I'm gonna have to invite Alan on again to come sit down and just do like an entire dedicated stream on some of that.
Absolutely, it seems like a super talented, prolific dude. Beyond the playsets, all the haunted attractions and stuff.
Everything.
Yeah. Brian Brink, what's up? Sunday Toy Talk continues. Hello, sir. Yeah, I think I was hanging out with Brian Brink this morning, listening to the "My Wife Is Gonna Kill Me."
Right,
podcast.
My Wife's Gonna Kill Me podcast. Great.
Where is Kennedy? Josh, I shaved her head, and no, I'm just kidding. Rick Jones, what's going on? Good to see you. Rick Jones. Allison Troy was making me crack up last night, today, the time. I appreciate you for being my sometimes my I don't know. She hears a lot from me sometimes. So
the inner monologue outspoken.
I love it. Genma Sinapa Cobweb Collector is here. Hello there, sir. Hope you're getting a good restful weekend. Oh crap, we had a baby. Cobb, we had a baby. He's been a member for 9 months. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Who else? Speaking of, see organisms on your face. Look at that. Look at that fine specimen right there. What's going on, Joe? I think that's some kind of caterpillar, which is rad.
It's the immaculate stash.
Immaculate stash. Let's see. Quip. Yo, what's up, man? Good to see you.
What's up, Quip?
1/6 shooter again, helping us feel young, even though it's a lie. Hey, kids. Sorry, folks. I've been obsessed with my age lately. I work with teenagers. They remind me every single day about how much of an old man I am. So I know John can relate. The Collecting Brothers. He, too, is an educator who is stuck with a bunch of young ones all day. The mustache is real. His face is fake. Yes, I learned that yesterday, which is amazing.
A great tagline, too.
This is 100% true as well. His stash is, in fact, the 8th wonder of the world.
Absolute.
Dorlaxin doing full Gandalf beard, no shave, no problem. Dorlaxin, I need to see that. And you see people like in my brain, he looks like Neil.
Yes,
or he looks, yeah.
That's how we picture
the
him.
icon,
right?
And this is exactly how Quip looks too. Let's see.
Yeah.
Thank you everybody for hanging out today, man. Seriously, this is great. Good to see everybody. I hope everyone's having a wonderful Thursday. I hope you get a good break this week. We all need it. Solo Sinner is here. Hello. I got to meet Solo Sinner at Legion's Con, which is awesome.
So many great people were there. It's fantastic. And the worst part is, like, as many people as you meet for like the first time in person, you're all excited about. There's still people that you miss, and it's like, oh man, I wanted to, like Rick Jones.
Yep.
Freaking was excited, like even like the weeks leading up to a meeting. Even Legend Series Tony, he was going to be there. He was only there for the one day and totally missed him. And it's like, man, there's just not enough time in that weekend span to see and talk to everybody that you really want to.
It was really wild, and it's been a couple weeks now, and I'm still watching people do their Legions recap stuff, and I haven't posted any of my like video at all. But it felt like, yeah, it was definitely something special. And thank you to everybody who wasn't there, and hopefully this isn't all feeling like really eye rolly to you. Like, yeah, we get it. You guys had a good time, but we did. So, but it was actually really super inspirational and great. Josh Brown, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you becoming a member. In 9 months, we too can have a child as well.
See, now it makes me want to drop mine in there because I can't remember how many months I've been a member.
Drum roll, like confetti, everything. Congratulations, sir. 50 is a huge milestone. Congratulations. That's awesome. And sorry, I'm still going through, but this is amazing. Thank you. The chat is going, and I really appreciate it. And I'm sorry I'm not the best at this. You know who's really good at this? Fallen Fett, shout out Ernie over on Toy Migos. Man, he's really good at this and makes it super entertaining. But thank you all for, yeah. Oh crap, Oz, we had a baby. Nolan, we had a baby. And Allison, I feel a little bit awkward saying that, but what's up? No. No, I really appreciate you guys so much. You guys are super supportive, and it totally helps. Man, looking at StreamYard's costs, all of that. Speaking of, like, I should, yeah. So, like,
I had a miscalculation with that, by the way.
Oh, you did? Hold on, real quick. This is so. I was explaining to Oz how sketchy my situation is right now. So
I love
just
this.
so you can kind of see. So the tape really helps. So I really appreciate you for helping me pay for the blue tape. Thank you, everybody. No, for real, it's awesome. And just, you know, having people show up on Sundays, hanging out, talking toys, commenting on this stuff. It's been awesome, and let alone folks who step up and do the members. And so, anyways, apparently I owe you all child support. All good, Josh. I'll shoulder it. So apparently. Yeah, yes. Oh man. Okay, and so that's where we're at. I hope you appreciate this awesome setup over here. Oz, let's talk toys, man.
Please, yes.
Okay. Cool. Let's see. I say that, but then I got to do the whole thing real quick. If you're unfamiliar, this is called the news, but it's like, yeah, some of it's timely, some of it's not. It's just a needless ephemera we saw. We're just going to talk about a bunch of stuff, but literally it will be a bunch of stuff. And so I would love it if you could go check this stuff out. People once asked, like, do you get like money for clicks? Like, no, it literally is just a Google Doc, but I do it to help keep me organized. And so that, like, I want people to go and check out all this stuff, like actually go say hello to these folks, meet these folks. That's one thing I learned at Legions Con, is the value of actually introducing yourself. And like, really, like everyone says, oh, it's a community. It's a community. It really is a community when we start to actually engage with one another and have babies with one another. So, so definitely reach out to these folks. You might end up finding a baby papa or baby mama. Okay. Anyways, the URL down there, it'll take you to a document that'll have everything that we looked at. So you can follow those folks, like them, do all of those things. Cool. Yes. Okay. I don't know why I have babies on the mind, but let's head over.
You got some baby fever going on. What's up over there, bro?
The time is finally right. You know why I have baby fever? I'll tell you why. Because there's been a birth of the dragon.
Right. Ooh.
This is a documentary that a mini doc that the Four Horsemen published this week, 2 days ago, about the making of their dragons, like a little behind the scenes thing. And it's absolutely incredible. I know you got to see this. We were talking about it, but why don't you, like, what stood out to you about this amazing documentary?
Just seeing the building grounds, hearing the way they talk about it. Also, I'm a bit of a film nut, and the way they
Mhm.
built this documentary too is just on par level. But listening to the way that they've talked about it, how it was all coming together, and just it's one thing to see what we got to see, right? But there's this
Mhm.
whole story to how it gets to this point,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
So being able to see these glimpses into that and hear them talk about it, like they talk about it a bit at G-Con, they talk about it a little bit more here in this documentary, and kind of bringing you along for that ride,
Mhm.
and where
Mhm.
Eric's inspirations for kind of how he wanted this thing to be, all the way up to, Corn Boy kind of forcing it down, about a 3-foot dragon minimum, kind of
Yeah.
thing the whole way through. Just,
Yep.
you know, that's a tall order. Like, I don't think people realize, you hear 3 foot, you're like a yard. Oh, that's not a big deal kind of thing. And it's like, you see what they're doing here. They got to sculpt at least 3 feet of awesomeness.
Yep. Yep.
It's like, oh, well, it's just digital and ZBrush. And it's like, they still got to work models and everything else too. Like, it's, it's
Yep.
not just as cut and dry as, oh, this is what we did.
Yep.
There's a story behind it. So actually getting that story and seeing all this behind the scenes stuff is a glimpse into what it takes to get these things out to the world.
Absolutely. Look at that. Oh,
Right?
yeah. There's so much in here, folks. Just going to show you, obviously, a couple of seconds, but it's exactly what Oz is saying. All the storytelling and behind this thing and the explanation about the process. It's obviously a huge deal for them. I do want to highlight, like, this was the anniversary of the studio. Also, the anniversary of the toy line. So 25 years of them being sort of their own studio.
Right.
They all met at the original Four Horsemen. Original 4 of them met at working for McFarlane Studios.
Right.
And then doing their own outfit and still continuing to work creatively for McFarlane, Mattel, a bunch of other companies, Super 7. Here is Preziosi, first name,
Yes.
Joe? Yes.
Yeah.
Joe Preziosi, Corn Boy, who you referenced earlier and is here at a certain point, and Eric Treadaway are still the 3 of the original that are around. So this is a huge celebration for them. Can you imagine? Like, that's what I kept thinking at G-Con when they were even just sort of like, they started off highlighting that anniversary year, like, oh my God, we're here, right? And to be amongst their fans, knowing that they're going to reveal a bunch of stuff that day and then punctuate it with this massive, like, toy history making dragon. So there's Corn Boy, Eric, Corn Boy Maisie. Anyway, it's definitely something you all should check out in January. We'll hear more about this dragon in terms of what it's going to cost, what all is going to come with it. But there's a lot of great stuff in this, including you can kind of see like the articulation that they're trying to build into it. So check it out, and we'll leave it at that. Unless is there anything more that you wanted to share about it that you want to pull out?
I mean, I don't know what more I could say about it. Go watch the documentary and get a chance to really see this. If somehow at this point you have not watched that live stream from G-Con, go back to the Four Horsemen page, watch the live stream of G-Con and follow along with that and watch that as well. Hear them talk about it. Hear the energy from the audience.
Yep.
Just, it's hard not to be hyped for this dragon, whether you're into Mythic Legions, whether you're into the Four Horsemen stuff or not. This is like one of those historical toy points, right? Like Hasbro did it with the flag back in the day, something such of a massive scale. This dragon is kind of like on that same level as that is an impressive toy that sets a precedent. And it's great to have been around for this.
Yep. Well, I want to highlight like I've realized the one thing to pull out in addition to those 3 original founders, everybody it's like featured in this, right? And you get to know the company, and I really love that about this company and the experience that I had being able to be at Legions Con and do intern for a day. So check it out. There's even family members in there. Eric's kids are there. Eric's brother who shot this documentary is in this picture. So anyway, I'd really, check it out. Curious if anybody here that is on the stream right now has already seen it and what you thought. Would love to know. Kind of curious where folks are at. Nolan saying would love to go all in, but would still be happy with just a dragon. I'm assuming for this recent wave. I was sharing that like I'm definitely looking to go all in on the wave. And then the dragon is still a question mark, although it was originally like clearly a no. And then my irrational side has been kicking in towards a yes. Well, so,
I mean, they've talked about it a little bit more, right? Like through the whole thing. So it's not entirely going to be like the back-breaking price that everybody has kind of been like throwing out there just without any real information. So now they've stepped in and they said it's not going to be too ridiculously priced, kind of that more moderate thing. But you know what? They've also added Shopify now to store Horsemen, so that can help. And if price is what's keeping you away, then hopefully those things will help. I can't help
to be
you
clear,
with your space.
Sorry, let's just Shopify, meaning that there's a payment plan now.
Right.
Just to make it clear for folks.
Easy payments.
And then you were about to say about space?
I can't help you with any ideas about the space. I mean, I've made suggestions. Sell your house. You get rid of the space danger. Plenty of room to put your toys outside. And just these wings are so big, you can get a couple of them and sleep under it with all the money you got from selling the house. It's cool.
Or take some notes from me. Don't get real furniture. Just get stuff taped together. Just use your multitask, or what do you call it? Multi-use. These are my figure accessory boxes. Anyway, just curious to see if folks saw this. Solo Sinner saying it was amazing to him how it was the worst/best kept secret for so long. Nothing but speculation in the community, but clearly the team knew for a long time it was happening. 100%. And that's true for all of these things, right? I'm sure like Leodicius, all of that stuff has been going on for well over a year in terms of development and ideas. Those sketches probably have been around for like maybe even 10 years for Leodicius, right?
Yeah. And Trevor, like he's in all the chats. He knows a little bit more about the behind the scenes of what's going on all the time. And then he's got to sit here and listen to all of us speculate and get bombarded with questions about it all the time. And yet he keeps it sealed. And you know what? That's how he can keep working with these amazing folks and be a part of this incredibly creative team, and continue to enable my Plastic Crack edition with his wonderful photography.
Yeah, this thing was amazing. The documentary is great. It's definitely a love letter to the fans. I wanted to quickly see if I could find this, but J-Mac is saying seeing myself at the end of the G-Con dragon reveal made me all warm inside. Here we go.
A lot of familiar faces in here. Not mine. I wasn't there that day.
Hey, look, that's me.
Oh, there's a brick in there.
Hey, look, there's J-Mac.
There's J-Mac. I see a Jesse.
Yeah.
So many familiar faces throughout this.
I do have a lot of photos from the room, and I kind of did some sort of 360 turns. So, yeah. But anyway. Hey, I just realized in shaving, you might stand out more at Legion's Con. Just kidding. All right.
Nobody would recognize me. They're looking for the big guy with the beard, and like none. I'm hiding in plain sight.
Yeah. Did they say how much the dragon may cost yet? And the answer is no. But they have said stuff. Yeah, go for it.
They've put out basically like bracket kind of ideas, like well under 650 is something that Eric said. So well under 650. And mind you, that there's a big range under 650, over 250. So that kind of narrows our range down a little bit more. But when you think of like where some of the prices of like some HasLabs have been and all like that, that seems to be within that sweet spot range that people affordably or are willing to pay for something of this kind of scale. And again, at the end of the day, it's all a matter of, do you think it's going to be worth the cost? Because I'm sure there are people out there who, even if this thing was over $650, would be like, it's totally worth it and still pay for it, right? I mean, that
you love what you love and you invest in it.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Trevor saying the documentary, I'm assuming, is really cool, and he had no idea they got pics of the shoot, which is awesome, right? To really get that sort of behind the scenes. Watch the documentary to understand what's on the screen right now. But yeah, it's really cool to see all of this kind of put together, man. I think it's great. Brian saying, I need that dragon for attacking the cat's lair.
That's one of the images I want to see.
The fact that you're thinking like cat's lair and dragon in the same breath is just like, man, I've got respect, sir.
Wish I had that kind of room.
I'm more like highly articulated. It's still, even though I'm leaning a particular way, it's a big, green, glorious, highly articulated question mark. I'm assuming he's talking about whether or not I know where he's at, but whether or not a lot of people can get it. Ray saying, I may get this dragon. Oh God, all the dragon toys of our youth, Dungeons and Dragons. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. And yeah, let's see what else. Other folks are there with you. Was the pricing remark some new info from Four Horsemen? Yeah, there have been a couple of different pieces. I would say that even at Legion's Con on Saturday night, I was with a couple of people who were basically playing Drunken Guess the Dragon Price, right? That was the game they were playing.
That was a very popular game all across the weekend.
I think 4. But so like at one point we were with Jeremy Gerard and he was just listening and he's like, no, it's going to be well below that. It was, I think people were saying like 600, 650.
Well below 650.
Well below that. And
was the quote.
And then that has been repeated. I've heard that version of it. So we'll see, again, and it's also some two things going on. There's the actual base dragon, and then there's the additional accessory kit with the wings and everything, and anything else they might decide to throw in if they do like things like tiers and whatnot. So
they did say tiers, so that's something we're going to be looking at.
TIERS, not tears, folks. You'll be fine. Let's see. Brian, Endless Fables is thinking about the dragon. Just depends on the price, and I'll wait on the wave. I like a couple of them. Hear ya on that, sure. Man. I love that wave.
I'd love to see how he works in Leodicius with some of his other AWOC shots, because that would look really cool. I mean, I'm excited to see that for a lot of the stuff in this wave.
Yes. Joe, surprise, is gonna go for all of the dragons, and which is awesome, man. I love it so much.
Joe's the one who inspired the strategy of sell your house and then buy all the dragons you need.
Yeah. Here, I pull you out of there. Nolan's thinking 350 would be a perfect price point without the effects.
Right? Like a good starter base price. I'm with you.
My girlfriend wants a dragon for her D&D campaign. Awesome, man. 1, congratulations for having a girlfriend. 2, congratulations for having a partner who's into D&D.
Agreed all the way around. And that's what I love most about this, because again, it shows that whether you're into Mythic Legions or not, whether like this is your world, there are just so many different reasons to want this massive dragon that have nothing to do with even Legions at all, right? Like, even if I just like collecting dragons, this would be something that I'd want to have.
And real quickly before we transition, got to see this room, and they were building basically and finishing up. I think they're probably already finished that sort of like meso looking temple that had the Ninian hidden back here, and that looks like this is what that is, which is rad. That in this exact room in the back.
To see that.
Yeah. All right, let's move on from dragon talk, because this is really dragon. Sorry. Let's talk indie toys, man. Like I said, like you see clearly, like the Four Horsemen are creative fathers, and they were doing. They're bringing us this dragon. They put out an awesome documentary about it, but also they attract other creative people and like embrace it. So, for example, not only embrace it, nurture it. This is Ideas from Mars, Matt Rodriguez's Armies of Ashmore, Defenders of Eden, and a bunch of other subtitles. This is the dinosaur line. That was actually sort of, they took, you take Matt Rodriguez's character designs, and he actually worked with the Four Horsemen to like turn these into plastic and do all the sculpting and engineering. This was something that was revealed and shared at Allegiance Con 2 years ago. And this is shipping soon. Matt was there. Like, you know, there were actual products there. And just a couple of samples or whatever. But here they are, and you can see everything going on. I know that you're excited for these as well. You ended up going in for these too, right?
Yeah. So what I love about this, I was following along Armies of Ashmore before I knew Matt Rod, before like I even knew entirely about the whole story of Defenders of Eden, you know, and where it got its roots. Just because I just joined Instagram, and one of the first freaking cool toy things I see were these dinosaur things, right? And at the time it was just 3D models. Like he didn't have anything else about it at the time. It was you know, little 3D rendered models, and that was it. And I was like, ooh, and I started following this. Everybody knows I'm a huge dinosaur nut. I freaking love dinosaurs, and it's a great time to be into dinosaurs because they're everywhere.
Yep.
But just getting to know Matthew Rodriguez, and Matt Rod as most will call him, and the passion that he has behind this project, and the stunning look of these guys, the scale, having followed it from those 3D rendered images to this, you know, Legions Con weekend, being able to pick them up in hand and feel that weight, that heft of the figures. I joke all the time, I like them beefy boys, and this was all about the beefy boys here. You know, because even at PowerCon last year, I saw the prototypes unpainted, none of that kind of stuff was there, and they were great looking, but you couldn't touch them, right? Like he wouldn't let anybody touch them. So this year I was able to go to his table, and he goes, "You could pick one up this time." Like, oh,
that's awesome.
Spoiled. I was so spoiled, and I just love everything he's doing with this, and I want to keep him. The dinosaurs, the Armies of Ashmore, is actually just one small part to the greater world of Defenders of Eden. So I'm excited that this is going to finally be getting into people's hands, and we're going to start seeing what else he has down the pipeline, what else is going on in that creative brain of his that he is going to get putting out.
Yeah, I mean, and there's, you know, there are people, there are all sorts of different, you know, characters up in this thing. I should say thank you to Toy Culprits, who did a bunch of awesome, like sort of like quick views of these booths that I'm going to be showing today. Thank you, Cullen. Your stuff is amazing. And this was the Kickstarter where the updates are there, and you get all sorts of like, if you're a backer, you know about this. If you're not a backer, the link is in the URL down there. To check it out, because you can kind of see, you can follow the journey, which is what I love, right? Following the journey of like, how do they get from a bunch of people saying, here, take my money, I want to invest in this idea, I want to see these things happen, to, you know, doing the character, fleshing out the character designs, packaging designs, getting them made at the factory, doing like production checks, all that stuff, painting. So, and anyway, this is all stuff from Legions Con, and you can kind of see what's going on there. Other folks in here, I just want to bring this up right here and leave this as we talk through some of the chat. The albino triceratops there on the far left looks super cool.
And that was a late addition too. That wasn't even like one of the choices from the start, and that became like very quickly a popular favorite.
Yabba dabba doo. Nolan says he can't wait for those dinos to arrive. Absolutely, these are fun, which is like that's a gold standard for toys, right? It should be fun as well as awesome looking.
Yes.
Adam saying, I'm very excited to get these. I'm way more excited than I was when I backed the Kickstarter. Yeah. I've generally kept the same level of excitement, but yeah. And I think Adam actually helped with the backer kit too. So I'm sure there was a little bit of that stress that he loves when it comes to backer kit. Aaron saying, looking forward to his dinos, but hoping I get them before I move at the end of January. I think that might be possible. Definitely hit them up. I
He's looking to get them shipped. He was hoping to have had them by Legion's Con weekend.
Yep.
Just a couple of issues delayed it though. So fingers crossed.
Yeah. Armies of Ashmore versus AWOC. Yeah, that's going to be the thing. Absolutely. Have these things doing battle or collabing on your shelves are going to be awesome. Like totally like a He-Man She-Ra Christmas special.
I'm picturing Kali riding in on the back of one of these guys.
Sure. Yeah. Or like, Thane going like, oh, I guess I'm not as big as I thought.
Right.
But yeah. Nolan, what's up, man? Thanks for joining. I'll always have space for a long neck boy. Obviously,
right?
You got to, because he's got the height, right? You got to get Milwick there. Not the best pictures here, though. I don't know what's going on.
Huge.
But let me find a good here. There's like a alt color version of Milwick. Love.
Yeah.
Like, see, I see things like this. Go ahead.
These guys right here were blanks that were painted by customizers within the community.
Yeah.
So if you're wondering where you can get these ones, these are one-offs. He just wanted to have a couple of representations of some things you could do with the blanks. That being said, go pick up a blank and make it your own.
Totally. Woo! You want to see me choke, folks? On a live stream. Woo!
Gotta pay extra for that.
Milwick. I was gonna say what this got me thinking about was sort of the constant innovating and R&D process that the Horsemen kind of get to do, right? In doing outside project work and their own stuff. I look at this and I'm like thinking about dragon tails and snake bodies, basilia bodies, right? So yeah.
Segmented neck joints and everything like that. Like, how does it really work? How can we make it still look good and not break that illusion? Because that's one thing they've said, like, they want to make sure that the articulation with their products makes sense with their system and how it works. So and they prove time and time again that that's absolutely it.
Real quick, do you remember what you ended up backing?
Oh, I can't remember it.
Yeah, I couldn't either, and I was double checking. I know I got Milwick, which is this guy, and I'm pretty sure I also got the Ankylosaurus. But in hindsight,
he was definitely one that I got, because I definitely remember loving the fact that the shield was also his armor plates for his back.
This guy,
and just love that. Absolutely love that. That's
thing I'm not sure about is I got some heads packs too because of the different colorways. So I don't know if my thinking was like, I'm pretty sure my thinking was like, oh, then I can always have other dinos, but we'll see.
I can't remember where my headspace was at, but and then like the later announcements too, like the unlock characters, and then you got like Skavar down there, the little turtle guy too. It's like, just throwing him in. It's like, how could I not get a Skavar figure? I have to.
Cool. Can you bring that up for me? Because I actually tried to reach out to Matt Rodriguez about a December, I think it was December 2023 email that I never heard back from. No, that's not throwing shade. But don't worry, customer service, you're all going to be better than NECA. I think it would be helpful to make sure that they have my mailing address. Anyways, that said,
I'm good with the surprise. Like when it gets here, I just want to open up and be like, I forgot I bought this.
And since Adam is here and he's he would like everybody to know that he is most excited for this figure, which he describes in his own unique way. So
it's been quite the common nickname of the Miliwick character, but it's funny. It's funny.
So anyway, check them out on Instagram. Check out the Kickstarter updates. But dude, this is just one of the crazy indie toy companies that were there. Let's definitely move on. This was new. This was like
totally new,
super exciting. From the realm, Fun fact that logo was actually designed by Jason Spiro Toys. But Jorge and Carlos are starting their own company. They've been talking about it for a little bit now, called From the Realm. The pitch is taking iconic monsters, right, like a vampire, and then kind of building a line of waves around a single type of character. So they're doing this for this first one. It's going to be a vampire based body that, with different heads and different soft goods and paint ways, will basically capture different versions of that vampire, classic versions from, like, you got your Nosferatu, you've got your, like, classic Hollywood type thing, you've got your Castlevania young long-haired style thing, they're even talking about some other ones that I don't want to mention because I haven't heard them say it publicly, but I got to hear a little bit from Jorge about it. But there's some really cool ideas. Plus, on the note of just sort of like how cool Legions Con is and how cool the Four Horsemen are for sort of like supporting folks. Jorge was telling me he got to like bring up folks from the studio, including Eric and Jeremy Gerard, and get feedback. And Carlos and Jorge were saying that Jeremy gave him a lot of good feedback on sort of their approach and how they're thinking about rolling it out. That's now going to sort of affect what they're going to do. So,
which is great.
Anyway,
right?
Yeah.
Again,
what did you see about this?
Well, first off, I was taken aback because I didn't realize that they were going to have these. Like, this is the first time they've really kind of shown these off, right?
Yep.
So just walking through, and of course, knowing Carlos and Jorge and everything from this world here of ToyTube, and just being able to walk up and actually meet them in person. I didn't get long to chat with them because, again, it's a lot of stuff that you want to see and take in. But this kind of blew me away because you guys, again, anybody who watches me knows I love my critters. I love my monsters. I fully love my monsters. And this is everything right up my alleyway. And it's not like we get a bunch of vampires and it's all like the same thing, like just straight up Dracula, right? They're going for we want to sell you a system and you get to build your own. So you're not buying Marvel's Dracula. You're not buying Monster Force's Dracula. You are buying a vampire and building how you want that to look.
Yep.
And I dig it. I really, really dig it. And again, we saw kind of like the Gary Oldman style with the top hat was sitting there. They had that long haired, again, Castlevania-esque kind of thing going, or even like the more monstrous Nosferatu. Just seeing their different takes on what they were doing with a vampire, I can't wait to see where else it goes. Because as much as I like my vampires, when it comes to these monsters, werewolves, I'm all about. And we need some more werewolf stuff. Like right now, Sebadam's leading the way with that sculpt and getting people different kinds of, different toy lines taking on werewolves. I actually want to see what Jorge and Carlos are going to do with it and when they get around to that point. But I'm fully in for this, especially like if, we're getting that little coffin kind of thing and see what else they do with it.
Yep.
But it's a great start, right?
I love
it's the start of something awesome.
Totally. And you mentioned the coffin. That thing is so cool. Anyway, you said plenty, but I want to highlight the wings. I really like how they're sort of attaching the wings that are basically like additional arms. They're doing cool stuff. Carlos and Jorge are like super, just awesome people, man.
Great guys.
I had a great time. Yeah.
Outstanding.
And so again, I'm glad that like there's a space like Legions Con and like this community that's really just done so much to just like support them and push them to kind of go after this effort. So anyway, speaking of realm, that I've been really into this other realm of toys, and that's these guys.
Just a little bit.
Shout out to the Collector 77, who's also got some dope footage, and thank you so much for being cool with me putting this up. I'm pretty sure we talked, but if not, my bad. But
I only got one chance to say one thing to him while I was there, and I was like, almost didn't recognize you without the green leather armor and the running thing, because he kept doing all those little, AI things.
But this stuff,
Oh.
man, this stuff was super cool to see. I sadly didn't get much time. I got to walk over there. It's not like they were far from us, but I was pretty busy at the table and then kind of running around
You
doing
were
other stuff.
very busy. Very busy.
But still, it was all great. Like even just meeting other people, getting caught up in conversations was huge. Like that was like the con as well. But being able to actually see these things that I was like super into and all about, and sort of hearing these two, like James and Jason, kind of talking through like where they're at with it and the sort of different iterations of the body, and they keep making tweaks and how they're moving forward. It was awesome. And being able to see these guys, the sort of like whatever they call them, the basic barbarian dudes, I forget what their terminology was for them,
right?
But really cool. Like, and got some confirmation. My brother was like big on this. He's like, I got it confirmed. He's like, I want to know that I can take this guy and this guy and basically do a swap so that he can create a Conan figure based on this, and they will be color matched. That was confirmed. That this body, the native body, and what is his name? The crow dude,
Crowman, wasn't it?
Crowman, yeah,
Crowman, yeah.
You can take so that you don't have the crow on him, and can do a head swap, body swap, and they'll be matched, and you can make the ultimate Conan of your heart's desire.
Right. Get that darker Sumerian skin that we are looking for the Conan figure.
And you can kind of see they were playing with stuff. They just talking me through like, this was Nico's Paint Master, this was this, and we're kind of looking to go in between and all these kinds of things. It was neat to sort of see their articulation scheme too. I know this is probably a little funky looking pick with that little gap there, but it totally, they're still working on some things, but it creates such cool movement that I think it's totally worth it in terms of, and then once you get, obviously like their little overlays and armor and stuff, this line is going to be really cool when it hits and people see what it's actually about. We do this whole toy talk thing and toy tube thing, and so we're steeped in it and we're looking at stuff. But like, there's so many people who have no idea that this thing exists, and when it hits, they're gonna be like, whoa. So
right. I want the day. We've talked quite often about how we're in like this kind of a toy renaissance where a lot of these indie guys are popping up now. They have new avenues that weren't open to them before. They can go to people and ask like, "Hey, I know you did this, and that's kind of how you got your start.
Yep.
Help me along that way, achieve this dream," kind of thing. Like, I want to be able to walk into a toy store. And when I say that, like, now you go into a toy store, it's like, and again, big bucks, like 90% vintage all around you. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I love having that nostalgia factor. But what I want to see is like that feeling of a kid walking into a Toys R Us with all these new toys on the walls.
Yeah.
So like seeing these get funded and hoping that like, one day when I go into like my toy stores around here, I'm not just seeing the big name guys, but I'm seeing all these guys on a shelf. Because I got to say, I went to Attorney of Dreams and I went down this one aisle and they had all their Mythic Legions and Cosmic Legions on a wall. And then right after that, I saw all their AWOC on the wall. And it was so beautiful to see that sitting on a shelf, not just clicking tabs on a page.
There was something to be said about that.
That, right? Just that totally aesthetic. Something.
Yeah, whatever happened to, remember back in the days of the early internet where everyone was selling us on like, you'll be able to walk through a 3D store and it'll be just like...
Yeah. Where did that stuff go, huh?
Yeah, whatever. Nolan Collects. This was the first Kickstarter that he backed. Really? Good on you. And yes, I'm glad that you backed this because I really, really love this. And he's referring to this one, right?
Yeah.
That sort of Darth Vader
Skeletor Darth Vader.
Skeletor. Yeah, Grim Skull.
Literally,
I think
Skelevator.
This thing I got to kind of check it out, and I'm really excited about it. That was one of those where it's like I feel like we didn't have enough time during the Kickstarter to really get to see that because they were sort of developing at the same time, and we didn't, and it was unlockable. So it was cool to finally see this in some kind of plastic form. Yeah.
And totally glad they got to as many of the unlocks as they were, hoping to get, because at first there was like this kind of worry, like, well, how far are we going to get? And, it was like right at the end there, they really started quickly, like jumping, like hit the one unlock, then the next, then the next. And I was like,
right. Actually, let's do this real quick. From the Realm isn't related to Brutal Realm. It wasn't the next wave. It's totally separate. And like the Realm thing is, totally different. So yes, they're doing their own thing, and super. Yep. I'm also excited about those vamp concepts. Back to Brutal Realm, and I know I probably didn't help them by putting them back to back because I'm a dork. But Nolan points out that they're saying, they're saying, look at me. Well, they have told people that they are going to wait on the backer kit until the new year, which I think is 100% a good idea, especially with all the things that are coming down the pike. I laugh a little bit because I know how much they kept pushing back the Kickstarter because all these new other Kickstarters and HasLabs are popping up. And so I'm just like, oh man, now you're doing that with a backer kit, and then people are going to be asking for a dragon and all these. But
I know, but
I understand it, and it's complicated, and I'm sure it's taking a lot of time to set that up too, and sort of think through it. So take your time, but I also do know that toy collectors sometimes they're not the most patient folks. So I'm glad that folks like Nolan are patient, and Ray. I think there's a real reason. As Nolan and Ray are pointing out, that for us on the the customer end, for them to kind of like slow down is actually a good thing for us. And man, can I not talk today?
It's okay, bro. It's been a long week.
Nolan, that Vader figure looks so good, and his favorite was Chief Mato, which I need to see as well soon because he looks great. I brought this up earlier, but absolutely, these are going to be like total customizers' dreams.
Because I mean, when I first saw these, like back in the concepts, it was ticking all of my Motu boxes of their 5.5-inch Origins style body, but upscaling it, right? Because although Masterverse is their line, Masterverse is their 7-inch line into that 1/12 kind of realm, but the builds on those are not that same aesthetic as what I grew up with and what I like about Origins. And that's, believe me, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
No,
but I also like these big 1/12 beefy boys,
more beef than Montel. I hear you. Thanos went pretty hard on the Kickstarter, but also wants to add more in the backer kit. There you go. Save some money.
Right?
Fit it in with that dragon somehow. Solo Sinner saying the Brutal Realm dudes were so cool. 100%, man. Super nice. And that Killian the red-haired Viking guy looks fire. Absolutely.
I also just appreciate that they went for a red-haired Viking as opposed to the atypical blonde.
Yeah, and they were like, they're really like what was missing, and the idea of typical. That's to me why it just feels refreshing. Like I have a He-Man, I have a Conan,
right?
Like give us something new, and like, Anyways, an Irish dude with like matted hair is awesome.
Right?
Can't wait to have these guys battling my orcs. 100%.
That's the dream right there.
Yep. It's all about that. Anyway, Brutal Realm, definitely check them out. Their updates as well on the Kickstarter. I'm a big fan of Kickstarter updates. Go check that out. You can kind of see things like this, right? The additional waves that are coming out for like the what do they call them? The
I want to say primals, but that wasn't it. It's along those lines, like feral.
Yeah, I'm not even sure what it is, but
I forget what they. Well, because I remember when they were like asking about it, they were like, "Do we want to do this or this?"
Right.
And it was.
Help us out if you know, but see, they're
Right.
moving in. The factory phase has begun. You can kind of see, again, go for that ride, man. Figure out like the creative end of it, because I know that there's some folks in this chat who someday will be launching their own new toy lines. So consider this like, you know, learn from everybody else. On that note, you know who learned from everybody else? This guy. So Arlen Pelletier. Oh, I always forget it. Every time I say it, I'm like, is it the French pronunciation? Pelletier or Pelletier? Sorry. But Arlen, who sculpted a lot of those first wave and those first figures from AWOC and a bunch of the newer ones as well, along with Dan, is doing his line with Spiro's Adam, aka Highly Articulated, Adam Drake. And they were able to show their stuff at Legions Con. This is footage of the Spiro coverage from the Badass Reviews. Carlos, who is from the Realm. It's a very incestuous group. But it was awesome to have these on the table. And it was fun to kind of like tell that story, right? Because it was like, here's a bunch of cool AWOC stuff down there as curated by this guy.
Right.
Smart sort of retail experiences. Like that's a table with all the stuff that you can get now. What's on the table is what's available. Then over here is what the future is. And it's like, it was all the Kickstarter stuff. And then there was the Bushido stuff, which you know, we kind of scrolled past, but it was sort of this stuff that was earlier, right? That's the future.
Yeah.
Which again, these awesome companies like embracing the talent. So I mentioned Arlen's doing Space Zombies. This was the brainchild of the other sculptor from AWOC, Dan Mitchell, doing his own thing. And that is becoming now the next Spiro Toys line. But you know, enough about Spiro. Let's talk about like keeping it in the family with this new independent toy company, because it is not going to be released by Spiro, but you know, again, it's like rising tides lift all ships, right? So Spiro's not going to like, we're embracing that. We're like celebrating the fact that like a member of the Spiro family is going to go and do their own thing. Two members of the Spiro family are going to do their own thing with Space Zombies from Mars.
Man,
these prototypes are killer. Like they're ridiculously fun. Just all the like little details, effects, and everything. And this art is just so damn good. It hits on that, you know, that kitsch, that US pop culture kitsch of like, you know, Cold War era zombie stuff, space race stuff. Right. Any quick thoughts on some space zombies?
Man, when I started to hear about this from Joe Fest, right? Like when that's when the buzz started hitting me about this, and I was like, wait a minute, what? So like I got Ed and you know, everybody's filling me in on this. I'm like, ooh, retro sci-fi, that's another fun thing for me. Like I, you know, grew up in that time where we saw a lot of this kind of, like you said, post-Cold War era, retro sci-fi, space race stuff. And like the idea of setting it in horror with zombies. Like, you know, I know some people are a little zombied out about now, but you know what though? This is awesome. Like this is so cool. So I can't wait to keep seeing what the future holds for this, because I'm all for it. It's fantastic.
Adam dropping the clarification, Pelche. So Arlen Pelche. And on that note, I opted not to do it, Adam, earlier, but it's Meshika. Anyway, but this is great. Pelche.
We help each other to grow.
Arlen Pelche. Bonjour. Okay. Anyways, can't go wrong with zombies. 100%. But you know what you can go right with is blood effects in 0G. That's what you can take zombies. This is proof that like we all know zombies, just like with From the Realms doing vampires, and we think we've seen vampire action figures, and they're kind of giving us like, no, we could do other things. These guys are doing zombies, but like there's so much more we can explore. Help me out with do you remember the Hobbit movie? This is my brain. I've been wanting
Which we talking animated? We talking
No, sorry. Peter Jackson.
Yes.
The guy who was Bard, who played Bard, the human.
He also, speaking of Dracula and vampires, he played Dracula in Dracula Untold.
More recently, he played Dracula Untold. That's this guy. I don't know. For some reason, I feel like they
right. He's got
I
that.
don't know if it was intended or not, but
I see
hoy
it.
hoy. Yeah, you see
What's
it?
up, Andrew? I totally see it. Definitely.
And it's true. Arlen does sculpt everything. He sculpted a lot of your favorite figures, period. And yeah, not to, yes, for sure. The Spiro Toys Bushido stuff is looking great.
So good.
There's stuff to show there that apparently still, like, I know Adam, he wants to push. He's getting those things out there. He loves to share that info and loves to see that info. But I get it. Artists, very particular. Maybe next week, push them, Adam, for next week on Adam's highly articulated stream, Monkey Business. And we can do some Monkey Business talking about Bushido, which now that I say it out loud feels a little bit weirdly racist, but that's okay. It all looks phenomenal. And the Bushidos definitely do have him hyped. Man,
right.
I totally skipped on that narrative about someday we got to revisit that narrative that started over on Adam's highly articulated stream earlier that I was trying to put out there.
We'll revisit it because you and I have very similar feelings on it. Anyways, we'd like to see something more.
These are 100% the zombies that he was looking for.
Yeah,
it'd be exciting. And yes, the gore effects are really cool, says Adam, one of the founders of the new company. Oh my gosh, I'm forgetting. Space Zombies from Mars. What is the name of the company? Remind us, Adam, in the chat.
Right, we're just calling it by the toy line, and
there was a name. I forget.
Right, the toy
really
line overshadows the name of the actual company doing it. Yep. We had that discussion a bit earlier,
and I'll make sure that's in the links as well. But the really excited for people to see them. Each astronaut has a different one based on the weapon that causes the effect. Thank you. That's brilliant. That's exactly the way.
So good.
And I see this too, 100%. But I also definitely see Bard.
Right down
That's
here.
right, Gaston. No,
forget about that one too.
Yes, shoot zombies like Gaston. Okay,
I'd be for it.
Oh, it's right here. Everybody else knows it, or not. But like, what's the name though? Is what I'm trying to ask, Brian. Like, I know they don't have a no name. No, I'm just kidding. It's actually called the No Name Toy Line. So that's
which
awesome.
Is beautiful.
Anyways, go check that out, and definitely go check out the badass reviews. Carlos from the Realm. Again, it's an incestuous group, but he had this awesome thing, and I actually did a little bit of production assistance on that unintentionally, and you can see that over there. But dude, this is like just how many cover? We cover 3 companies, and there's still more. 2 tables down from us over at Spiro the other week was these guys, and I'm so excited to finally see these in person because I know the prototypes were there last year at Legion's Con. I wasn't, but then they brought this, which is unfortunately didn't get backed and unlocked in the Kickstarter, but they're still like pursuing it because it's apparently a thing for their story and world that they're trying to create. But this is Galactic Valor, folks, by Foxforge Toys. Again, shout out to Toy Culprits for the coverage. I backed for 3 of these, I want to say. I think it might have just been 2 actually. And then this is their older toy line. But I was really, really taken aback by the coloring on some of these figures. The green one, the bluish green one. This one I really liked. And then there's the Kickstarter exclusive one that's a more orangey one. I think those are the 2 that I got. Mm-hmm. But it was really cool to meet these folks. We've said it before, they're just like filled with great people. But then seeing this 3D print of this ridiculously oversized space thing, was awesome. You got to see it, I'm assuming?
Yes, I was able to walk by their table because, again, like when these guys kind of like came out last year and seeing everything, again, sci-fi is not always like my biggest realm. But I have deep roots there. I was a huge fan, like especially even like in my video game genres, right? Like I was a huge fan of Halo, big player of Gears of War, and this kind of like reminds me of like some of those Gears of War-esque enemies and stuff that you fight, in their little horde mode that they had. So seeing something like this, and again, I could see where like aside from giant sci-fi canon on the back, I could make that work with other stuff.
Yeah, that cannon totally reminds me of it. This is the kind of thing I would do if anybody had the old Death Star can replace it, that thing would explode and come off.
Yep.
And you know, it's like that was the kind of thing I'd pretend it was a gun, but totally works. You know, one time it was a weather dominator in my house, but it totally looks like that cool cannon. And I just kind of like looking at the design of how like this thing could hypothetically fit on this giant hypothetical alien and be carried by it. So it felt very Tolkien meets, you know, sci-fi, right? With at least Peter Jackson's vision of Tolkien.
Yeah. And I love that, like, they don't even just have it like fully like harnessed and all like that. It like, and again, it's a 3D print, so I can only see so much of the detail there, but it's like, it doesn't look like it's bolted onto a saddle. It looks more like it's bolted into the beast, which is just a whole nother thing.
So they, you know, again, please, for these folks who did these Kickstarters, follow up. Like the conversation doesn't end. The process doesn't end with the end of the campaign. A lot of folks are getting hip to like just communicating with folks, but then showing pictures of the process. And I absolutely love this stuff. You know, people showing sort of like new figures from the waves, like they're doing here. So definitely check out Foxforge Toys. The links will be down there. And I believe Thanos has been putting them up. Yep. I hear you, Josh. Josh was like 3 aisles from me, and I barely got to walk over there. I think I walked by twice, got to say hi to D. Blake and Josh and see Josh's kid killing it at some video games on the floor. But anyway, that was really cool. And I do need to do a quick correction. My bad, Adam. That's what you get for being slower than Brian. The Nameless Toy Company, TNT code. So I think that's rad. I thought you were going to call it Zombie Realm, but I guess
maybe there's just too many realms going on.
Yeah. So cool. All right, let's move on because man, there are all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, we still got more to cover.
Here is another one. So this is another one where the Horsemen, again, shout out to this is Carlos's footage, I believe, Badass Reviews. Yep. Like another company where, you know, they have an idea, and then not only were they able to like do the sort of coming out thing at last year's Legion Con and be there again this year, but they worked with the studio to actually produce these. Yep. So it's kind of cool. Again, this notion of them as a hub, you know, Four Horsemen as a hub for creativity and creating all this stuff. And
absolutely
getting all these cool space lines, 100%. It's amazing, man. Check this stuff out. So, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, like, for me, again, it's great to see the evolution because so many of these people, as you were saying, it's like they started off basically like announcing themselves in this creative space full of all these wondrous artists. And now seeing where they've come along down the line with it, right? Like it's great being involved, and you feel like you're more involved than you really are in a lot of ways. But it's only because we want to see these things succeed, because we want to get them in our hands. And I just love the whole, like, this to me is as much as we're getting like lots of barbarians or stuff that's like primordial, like then there's this whole sci-fi section too. And this falls into that realm of like that very 90s extreme, you know, bright, vibrant colors before we moved into the later 90s where everything got really dark. Carries like some Overwatch video game vibes, if anybody's familiar with that.
It does.
So cool. I loved seeing all these designs throughout the Kickstarter.
You're 100% right on like I mean, and like I see exactly what you're seeing in terms of like the aesthetic styles and and the things that they're pulling from. But you know, obviously it's like the 21st century, so they're doing some newer things with it. I really love too the sort of Overwatch, Fortnite reference. Like this guy to me, color wise, is while it's very, you know, 80s Dayglow Trapper Keeper stuff, it's also in that like, oh, you can kind of see the anime influence, and now is like sort of embedded in your
Fortnite cyberpunkish kind of thing, right?
You got your see-through guy here, who in the 90s would have come with like slime action, right?
Oh
And
yeah, for sure.
so they're really cool stuff. Meta Travelers are killing it. I did want to actually look at one thing from here where they show this is the other thing that I love about this world that we're living in, is that the toys work well with each other.
Yeah.
And like Brian's saying, lots of awesome stuff coming out, and they all kind of like come together. So you can get your legendary figure chilling next to the Mythic Legions, next to the Marvel Legends, next to the AWOC, Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, and then Star Wars Black Series. So,
which looks so tiny compared to everything else now, in a way.
These guys, well, yeah. Galaxy far, far away, very different gravity, all sorts of stuff, physics, everything.
Right? So. Their biology's smaller. It's cool.
Yeah.
But you know, like when we were kids, right? Like you had the toy box, and I know some people were like, well, I can only play with my He-Man I can only play with this. Like, nah, man, I loved crossing the lines and having everything do great. So like now that they fit more in scale with each other, it just makes that even more exciting, because now I don't need to wonder why my He-Man towers over my G.I. Joe. Right. I can get them in a very similar scale that works well.
Yeah. Thanos is really digging that crystal looking dude, who I believe is the main sort of protagonist of the story, which I'm assuming, if I'm understanding that right.
I wanted to get back and try to get like more, like, because they had the comics there at the table.
Yep.
Like, that's the one thing I regret. I didn't do another lap around where I actually bought comics from each of these individuals, because I mean, Adam got me started on the AWOC comics, and then came across Savage Crucible at PowerCon last year, and I picked up the Savage Crucible comic because I want more of the story. I want more of the lore. And I meant to do a round going back and getting comics from each of these lines as they had them present at the tables, and just never got that opportunity there because that was like my last day. Okay, I've spent all this money on all these toys. Now I can go back and spend like the $5 here and there and get my comics.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's always...
I mean, it's hard because, you know, like a lot of these things that I'm showing you, actually everything that I've shown you, I've taken bites of and have, you know, put money into. So then it's like, oh, the comics and all that. Part of it is just I'm an enthusiast about what's happening right now with toys, and I kind of want to check it out for science. And you know, so like J-Mac was saying, they look fantastic in person and the main guys look top notch. That's the thing. It's like, I'm not even 100%. I wouldn't look at these things and go like, oh, I'm 100% behind the look of that figure for my personal tastes. But I'm like, that is rad, that one that exists. And like, I like a lot of the ideas behind it. I know that's a weird thing to say. I still love them. I think they're great. It's just like, you know, when I look at something like AWOC, I'm like, for some reason that 100% resonates with me. And same with Mythic Legions. With these, it was a little bit different, but I just love that it is so different. And when I agree with J-Mac, when I walked by, I was like, damn, these things look amazing in person. And I know I'm going to love them. So,
well, I mean, like if everybody's just putting out the same product, it gets real boring real fast.
It does.
So, and like people were saying before, you know, because again, the Horsemen are introducing a lot of new style articulation, and being like, they're seeing how it works with some of these other guys, and maybe that is how they're building off of it. What I love about it is that ingenuity and creativity in somebody else's product inspires an established product to do more or do better, which then they go, well, shoot, man, now we've got to up our game. So like it helps fuels and builds this, you know,
it really does.
Just everybody tries better, you know. I don't want to say harder because they're all trying hard. You know, they just try to do better, and not necessarily better than somebody else, but better than they were.
That's the amazing place we're in. And I will say this, like the people behind these, they're all toy fans too. And so I know, like in speaking with, going back to the Brutal Realm guys, that's been a big thing for them. Like this buck isn't right. Let's do this. Let's change this. Let's change it. And while, you know, you could say, well, dude, just hurry up and make a toy. I get that. But like, that just shows you how interested they are in doing what you're saying, is ramping it up and innovating, regardless of the sort of like competition of it all. I think part of it is like, yeah, it might be about like, oh no, we want to make sure that we sell our figures as well as you guys do, that kind of competition. But I also think it's kind of the healthy like ratcheting up of like, oh my God, I had no idea you could do that. Great idea. Can we work that into ours? Right.
Yeah.
And then innovate. So I don't know.
Look at these colors,
cool.
man. Look at these colors, right? Like that just, I mean, we all know I'm a fan of purple and green, but then like you sit it right next to that red and yellow and how they both pop. Like one doesn't overshadow the other. It complements it. That's going to look beautiful on a shelf just to play with. Look at this.
This is Adam's favorite. He's like, dude, that black and red looks killer together. So he's going to be all over it. Let's check out some other stuff. Creative Beast Studios. Man, this is another one that I was just super bummed that I didn't really get to hang out with or see. Like I barely walked by. The way the thing was set up, there were people in front and I couldn't really like get through to like say hi and look at the toys. I tried. But
there were plenty of times where I was like, I want to go down this walkway. I want to go down this aisle. And I'm like looking and I'm like, that's a whole lot of nope. Because I'm a big guy, folks. It's no surprise. I had a backpack on me too. So like now I'm like turtling it around.
Yeah. Sorry. Dumb joke. But yeah, it's
totally.
But no, I wish that I got to see this. Everybody has heard me go on and on about this. And I was like so excited that I might be able to like see it in person. And I saw them on Friday night in passing. I was like, man, I can't wait to come by and take a look at that. And I never did.
But we've talked from the very start of knowing one another a lot about like I was all Beasts of the Mesozoic and knowing everything about that. And like you introduced me more towards their cyberzoic leanings. Like I hadn't seen that much about it. And I think you were the first one to show me the dragon. And just like we were blown away talking about the scale of that dragon.
Right.
And man, like even with, you know, again, the Four Horsemen doing one, it's still just ridiculous to see these guys and how amazing their toys look.
It is. Sure, it's like smaller compared, but it's gorgeous. And the way it moves is gorgeous.
Beautifully sculpted, and it moves so well.
And I know some people go like, oh yeah, that looks tiny now compared to it's like I my brain just doesn't work in that sort of deficit model. My brain just goes, oh my God, that you're right. Beathir, that green dragon looks amazing. I can't believe they did it. And then I look at the other one and go, oh my God, that Arctic dragon is still amazing. I can't believe they did it.
Yeah, that's it, right? Like, you know, guess what? A polar bear is larger than a grizzly bear, and a grizzly bear is larger than a black bear, but they all still exist, and they all look amazing and cute and cuddly, and you just want to go give them hugs. I wouldn't want to hug a tundra dragon, although it might be a little soft, but I'd still be worried about getting 8.
I wanted to show this because damn, check this out. Like whoever sculpted these did some great work on that anatomy. Oh wait, these are real people.
Right?
The Creative Beast dudes, man, look at them, man.
Chris just looks like you could put him into Brutal Realm.
Putting in work. Well, that's what I was gonna say. I was like Jason and James. No. But yes, these guys. Respect. Anyways, their toys are badass. I wish I saw them, but again, just along those lines, folks, crazy levels of talent, and it's all like at this show, just hovering in this hub. I think I figured out Chris's favorite pose. But yes, those guys are awesome.
Why not? With guns like that, it's hard not to want to flex them all the time.
And we are still not even through those first ones, and we've gone an hour and 20. And thank you, folks. Would love to know what. Yeah, for those of you that were there, please keep it coming in the chat in terms of like what it is that you saw and that you liked. Ray's definitely digging the dinos. Seriously, like these are like to me, I used to say these are like to Mythic Legions, like the Jurassic Park stuff is to, you know, Motu.
Right.
That analogy got mixed up. Sorry. Mythic Legions is to Motu, Masterverse, let's say, as
Creative Beast is to Jurassic Park. And that's a great analogy for it. Yeah, it's a little bit of a higher price point.
Right.
But the dinosaurs also don't wear clown shoes at the end of the day.
Yep.
You
Now,
know,
here you
kind
go.
of thing.
Real tips for you, by the way. You should switch to a satchel to help you navigate those tight aisles.
I'm just gonna bring a pack mule, actually. But Brian, I get what you're saying, man. That probably would work better. I'll bring a pack mule, and I'll just load him up as I go down the house.
Yeah, man. Anyway, I think there's so much great stuff here, and already Nolan's jumping in on this because I shared this a while back on the channel, and have been in touch with the creator, and he was just like, can you please make sure you go by and shoot video? I sent him the video of what I shot. So this was one of those booths that I actually made it a point to go see because of that, as well as just to look at some dope toys. But I fell in love with this castle that was based on a cardboard concept that they did. Somebody actually made it in real life. And so this was what is it called? It's called Castle Dragonstone, and this is by John Magon. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, like, can they release this in pieces? Like, I know they do this for the display for the show because, again, PowerCon, they had the cardboard thing, and the cardboard, it's cool. It's a great Dio backdrop, right?
Yeah.
But when I think back to the 80s when they had all those really cool Motu displays and stuff like that on the shelves where you got to see Skeletor and He-Man kind of like battling it out. Walking up and seeing this at the Formo table was just one of those moments that took me back to that childhood of seeing that kind of display in a toy store. Yeah, no, and like I definitely had to go by and see Formo Toys because I know you and Thanos have been huge fans of this. I love these guys, but I've held back because as collecting Origins and then now, especially with getting more into Mythic Legions, I've only got funds that can go so far.
It's yep.
But I'm absolutely in love with what they're doing. I love these bright colors. I love the introductions of different types of characters. Well beyond what you normally see in a line. Like, yeah, there's a lot of familiar and recognizable characters within a line, like,
character styles, sure.
Yeah, seeing those tropes, but they're also trying new and different things and bringing a lot of nice, seeing that kind of representation through the lines.
Oh, sure. Yeah. In terms of the characters that they're bringing in. Yeah, totally.
Right. And seeing how it's evolved too, because again, like when these guys were first coming out, and knowing the Van Pelts and Emiliano Santalucia, for those of you who don't know, deep roots into Masters of the Universe and Power and Honor Foundation, seeing what they were initially bringing to the table around the time like Origins was starting getting out, it was still just like, yeah, it looks like they just repainted Motu. Seeing where it's evolved from has been awesome. Like, oh man, like the new armor, the old armor, like giving you all those Kirby Fourth World vibes.
Man. This is straight up what is it? But yes, it's a totally Kirby. It's like his concept sketches for that book. Oh, it's sitting on that shelf over there. But anyway, it's fantastic. Them really pulling from these different influences. I love what they do. Unfortunately, I got to draw a line somewhere. This is not one that I went after largely because of form factor. If they end up doing like 6.5-inch figures of these guys, I'd totally be
100% in.
But I just wanted to bring this up
to go with Origins too, but at the same point, I'm more at that 6-inch scale now.
Right. And I want to say Solo Center, it's 100% that, right? It's kind of what you were saying is like being able to get that nostalgia.
Yeah.
This is totally an 80s toy commercial vibe. And, you can imagine the kid going, oh, doing the kid voices and I'm coming for you. No,
like cackling witch flying overhead kind of thing,
right.
And heroic barbarian yelling, like all that, hands fully in the shot, not even trying to pull stop motion, just seeing them play with the toys on this huge thing. I'd love to see them sell, like, make it a modular playset and people get to invest, like a subscription fee or what. I don't care. just get it out there in the world for people to play with.
Yeah. I lost it, but I was going to sing some Defying Gravity because Wicked is awesome. But yes. Anyway, this stuff is cool. We should move on for sure. But man, there were just so many cool toy lines. Like this was there. This is D13 Toys and their Biblical Adventures line, which is D13 is actually Chris Garrich from the Four Horsemen Studios doing his own line of taking how biblical characters were represented through different classical art styles and art pieces and bringing that into plastic form. And I just, what I appreciate about Chris's approach, he's just like, he's got this very like, the whole bagged, like, here you go, here's your figure. There's just, everyone's approaching it so differently. And I love it.
Yeah, he sells, like, he's got the stuff right off the table. There is no packaging.
No,
like we're doing the, we're stapling the cardboard on top of the bag. You just bought the discount bundle bin stuff at thrift store toys, but they're not cheap toys like that. Like, they're very well built. These historical art depictions of these figures, like bringing them to life right off of, like, I used to go to church when I was a kid and you'd see the paintings and stuff like that. And now, bam, here's like a physical representation of this painting. And getting that in hand. These are really cool. Chris is another guy.
Sorry, I love the idea of in-bag collectors.
In-bag collectors. Yeah, just get some peg hooks for your wall so you can hang them like that, right?
Yeah.
But again, Chris is a great guy to talk to. It's great to see him put out something that he is passionate about, and it's great to see people who are also passionate about it, like, coming up and getting these.
I'll say, like, I also love that they do variants. Like, they do a bunch of like multicolored stuff, but this right here, you'll see kind of popping across for the folks watching. Right here are the Easter chocolate variants that he did. I just think it's hilarious. Like,
well, and in the bags you passed over, like, his Christmas variants, like, you got the arcane, like, with the red and green and stuff like that. Christmas wasn't even a holiday for those guys, but it's still fun. It's just great to see this stuff.
Yeah, and this is Chris again, worked with the Four Horsemen, but during Intern for a day, he was dressed up like a pharaoh, like total kind of like this, but more like
eyes going on too. Yeah, I've seen some pictures.
It was more Spirit Halloween kind of stuff.
Very just fun.
100%. Hey, aside from the actual companies, I think that's it for the companies that were there. As far as like people were making full-on action figures, there were also people doing things that that are sort of like toy collector adjacent, really for toy customizers, people who want to take their toys to the next level. And there were a bunch of people selling all sorts of like custom heads and places to print things. But there's one in particular that I really appreciate. He was on the show, but Josh Brown Toys, Josh Brown Customs, sells a bunch of stuff. And this was one of them in particular that I love. This is actually a painted version of the original sculpt was done by Jason Demon. And so this is painted by Eldon Huguetes. And this vulture sculpt I have here somewhere. I don't want to dig for it. Oh, actually, like, we had on the AWOC table to kind of like show people what the possibilities are for AWOC for customizing. And this thing is so damn cool. These prints are gorgeous that you can get from Josh. And he had a bunch of stuff with D Blake makes there. But seeing this kind of stuff and what Josh sort of is able to like provide for the community and all these other folks who sell these things is fantastic. Like, this is that toy renaissance that you're talking about. We're in this day and age where people can like conceptualize something, sculpt it, and then folks like Josh can do like the printing, which like is an art in and of itself, right? There's an art to doing this and doing it properly so that these things cure properly and don't go exploding on your shelf, and that they're sturdy. And the idea of like even articulation points like this one, there's alt heads for it too. So, and it just, fits right in on top of your figure. Yep. And it's, they're sized perfectly so that at least for AWOC. This one is sized for AWOC to be able to fit real snug. Like I don't even really need putty or anything on it. But anyway, look at that. Were you able to walk by their table at all?
Yes, yes, I was. I was able to go by. Didn't really get a chance to stop and talk because again, there's a lot of people moving around, and I'm not trying to stand in people's way necessarily as I'm looking at everything. You know, and again, it's that whole idea that, well, like these guys started with this passion somewhere, right? Like a lot of people are passionate about toys, same as you and me growing up. They love it. Now giving them a chance to like fuel that passion of just loving what other people are doing and then being able to make their own now in their own ways, right? Like again, I think it's why we see a lot of these Kickstarters and startups from a group of like-minded guys getting together one day and sitting, let's make the dream happen. And you know, again, there's a huge customizing community out there making custom sculpts and heads, and talented artists in their own right, just as much as any Eric Treadaway or Chris, and, you know, and again, all these guys. And it's great that they have a place where they can meet. And Legion's Con is a big art show when it comes down to it. Like it's what it is. It's an art show. This is other people's art. Like I know a lot of people may not think of a toy, like going down a toy aisle in Imaginext and looking at it like a sculpture or a work of art, but that's what they are. And this is that personified holy, right?
Yep. Josh hadn't even seen that painted version of that same sculpt, right? But there are a bunch of painted pieces that are up now. So if you're not like, oh, I'm not into painting, you can you know, get the head. So like if you're looking at that price and you're like, if you're new to this idea, I totally get it. But I want to throw out there that the time it would take you to paint and then your skill level and all that, or to get somebody to paint it for you, this is pretty awesome, right? You get your,
this is something that was mass produced at a factory for like super cheap parts, you know, or, you know, time, labor, materials, whatever. This is somebody doing this on their own time. They work an 8-hour day. They get off of work. They're coming home. They're printing this up. Maybe it was printing while they were at work. And now they're sitting down and painting it. So when they sell it, like this is how they value their time. They have fun doing it. Other people ask them, hey, can you do something like that for me? And they're like, yeah, well, you know, expect to pay for it too. So yeah. It may seem like it might be something steep or something like that, but they deserve it. This is like, you know, paying your thousands of dollars for a Van Gogh in a lot of ways.
I was just talking to my partner about it, my wife about it, how like, you know, back in the day, you'd see the quality of sculpt and painting on these things. And, you know, people would be like, oh my God, who is this master artist? Now it's like, well, so many people like are doing it and just doing this amazing work. So what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, I saw Josh just dropped in the chat there too, that he's, by the way, I don't paint. So now he's got a subcontract out to get it painted. Again, there's moving parts to this. That's why that may look steep, but now you're occupying two people's time. So it makes sense.
Supporting two people's passion and this thing that they're putting out there. Cause like, that's dope. He's paying these artists to come in and paint it. You know, he's paying folks to like get their sculpts and be able to sell them on the shop. He's got some exclusive sculpts as well. And again, this is for the folks who are like, you know, I don't paint. Like that doesn't need to hold you back. Like here's some options if you want to make your custom sectars figures. I've been lately, this past couple of days, been going through this thing and like I need to figure out what it is, but it's so dangerous but awesome. Just such cool stuff. And these paint jobs are like damn good paint jobs. Look at the cheeks on that.
That painted in shadow detail, like around the eyes and in all the creases there. So it really, the paint complements the sculpt amazingly.
You know, a lot of us went to Legion's Con, did the Armory experience, and those nights are cool. But you know, if you want to like customize those nights, like here's an option. Shout out to Josh Brown. This stuff is super cool, and he was super cool for helping AWOC out by, you know, letting us sort of share that stuff on the site. Oh, did I have this stuff doubled? Yeah, I just have this stuff doubled. But check out the shop, even just a like window shop. Check out everything. There's all sorts of stuff. If you want to go, yeah, I was gonna say I didn't think that there were any full-on customs. Anyway, not that I need to spend more money, but let's move on. In addition to folks like Josh doing the heads, there were obviously like folks selling dios. And again, just want to show one of them. This is Shelf Gravy, whose work is amazing. If that name sounds familiar, it's probably because of the one piece that they had there that was clearly like the showstopper and attention getter that so many people were talking about. And I'll kind of move through. It wasn't this dio, but this dio is pretty damn cool too for your cosmics, right? Get all the blast effects and the smoke and good taste in toys, because I love this Astrobots. My favorite figures. You got stuff like this. You're like, wait, what? Fist of the North Star channeling over here. You've got Castle Grayskull, and I love the sort of thing that's going on with perspective in this to kind of mimic some art that we've seen, some key art that we've seen of He-Man. All this stuff. It's like, you know, and it's reasonably sized, right? Like if you had a shelf and you just wanted to get like one piece to put in your detolf, like that would fit perfectly, right?
Yep.
But then if you're like, nah, I need something more, you could go to something like this thing, which is ridiculously huge.
This is right there on scale with Alan's work.
Yeah. Yeah, so shout out to the whole crew, Brian Brink saying Shelf Gravy, my friends, they're amazing stuff, man. This is like a movie set building, right? And really thinking about, so what you're looking at here, let me actually do this first before we, because this is really detail heaven. This is it. What's up, Wade? Thanks for taking this photo, and I'm totally stealing it, and I didn't even ask you. What a jerk. But it's cool.
Credit plug.
Nah, unparalleled universe. That's how we roll. But this stuff, check how big that is, man. It's like about 4 feet by 4. It's huge.
Just a massive set piece. Massive. Like, look, it's over the table that it's on. Like the table underneath it. That ain't all the way out to the edge of this
situation that I've got going on.
Right. They just got a nice tablecloth covering the painter's tape is all, but that's exactly it.
Yeah. So that's what we're looking at here in this video. And Shelf Gravy's like posting, you know, a couple of videos here and there. They posted this awesome sort of walkthrough of their whole dio, and man, it's got the overworld, it's got the underworld, it's got it all the different rooms. That thing there is a troll.
Yeah, full-size troll in the base of this thing.
It's so inspiring, and like just I was in awe when I walked by this and like, what is that? It's super cool.
It's massive. It's amazing. It's everything you wanted in your room as a kid to play with. Like this is that love of what Castle Grayskull and Snake Mountain gave us as kids.
Yep.
Dialed up to an 11.
You know? Shout out to Shelf Gravy. Shout out for their logo too. I've always loved their logo on the show, Brian. It's some cool stuff, brings me back. All right. So that's Legions Con proper. And I know we're kind of running low on time here, but I wanted to see if we could just wait, actually, let me do this. Amazing work. What's up, Doke? Hope to get to this skill one day. 100%. Just the hours and the time and the learning from each other and all of that. And we could get there. They've been working on that since the very first Legion Con. Damn, 5 years in the making.
Right.
And the stonework is absolutely great, and I love the sort of weathered look of this, like almost looking precarious there.
Right. Cool. Chunks are missing because over time it's just been worn down. You got moss growing in places.
Yep.
Beautiful attention to detail all the way around.
Josh is saying that Toy Mirth ended up buying this one. Damn. Whew. Wild.
Wow.
And this is coming from Vine Jungle Figure Factory. If you've seen his stuff, yes, no, for sure. Like you all do amazing stuff, man. Fantastic. Okay. What I was going to say is that's who was at the show. As far as like the indie kind of like this newer set of indie toy makers, whether they're here or overseas, these folks that aren't the Mattel, the Hasbros, the Jack Specifics, right? These folks who are kind of small company, we're making the thing that we love and we're passionate about it. Just like the Brutal Realm, From the Realm, Space Zombies from Mars, and the likes that we just looked at. So there's a bunch of them out there. What are the ones that you're looking at for 2025? And, let's see if we can just try to rapid fire a little and I'll sort of show it. But if folks are like, man, I want to hear more about it and I want to see that, check out that link at the bottom or that QR code that's way over there. It's bit.ly/brick something news, capital B, capital S, capital news. And that'll take you to a document with all the links that'll go to this. It'll be live right after the show. I'll just throw it up real quick. But also Thanos has been dropping them in the live stream chat. So let's talk through some of these. And you probably don't know what order they're in. So you shared some, I shared some. Let's see what pops up. Okay.
Let's do it.
First up, Zes Studio. I heard some people call it X-Ray Studio, which I don't see it, but whatever. I'm excited. This was one of mine. I love my Zes figures, even since the Wave 1 sort of barbarians. And then the Wave 3, was that Wave 3? Yeah, women figures were fantastic. That might even been Wave 2. But those were like, that took everyone by surprise because the designs are really cool. The what do you call them? The overall like sculpts are great. Articulation were awesome. Better than other lines that I love a lot, but maybe not. There's some things that could be added. And basically last week they shared this and we're saying, yep, we hear you. And we're adding it. Right. So just like Legions are also looking to work in double knees, double elbows and butterflies. Looks like Zesre is looking at more movement in the shoulders with a butterfly there. You've got an increased range on there. I think it's still single joint, but it looks like it moves a little bit smoother than the others.
Right.
So I'm really excited about that. And
for sure,
this just to show you their older figure and their newer figure. What are your thoughts, reactions?
So it's great because you were the ones that introduced me to Zes Studios with a couple of the figures that you were getting and opening up and playing around with. Mm-hmm. And again, it's like being along for this ride. Like here was their initial products. Here's that evolution of the products.
Yep.
And that talk of, again, creativity in other lines and them doing things has inspired these guys to go back and they go, we hear you. And we're going to try to do more with ours too. We're going to try to get it up to that level as well in our own way. And again, it's another thing of beauty where like they want to make it sure that it works with their sculpts. Like they don't want to just emulate, the butterfly joints on a Marvel Legends figure just to add it in, right? Because then it's going to take away from how their figures are built and how they do things. So it's great to see that evolution here where they've made it work with their designs, their system, how they build a figure. And honestly, it looks a lot better than what I've seen in a lot of companies. So, I mean, that says something, right?
They definitely do great work, and they're not resting on their laurels. And I love this. There's just like, hey, don't worry, we're gonna do women too, because the women really took a lot of us by surprise, just because they were. One, we don't get enough women figures, but the design of them and the characters. So it's cool to know that this is going to happen for all of them, and I am patient. So I think that's great. Looking forward to Zes Studios stepping up the game for Combatants Fight for Glory in 2025. Let's see what comes up next. I think it's your pick. Yeah. What's this? Anoito.
So I got these Furay Planet toys coming out here, and it was funny because like 3 of the ones that I picked, they're all kind of like so similar. I get them confused on who's doing what or trying to keep those lines mixed. Again, I love my critters, love my anthropomorphic creatures and stuff like that, and barbarians and fantasy worlds, and that's where these guys fit in. And I'm so glad you went with the bears, right?
Yeah, because they just announced these 3 days ago that this isn't them, this is another thing, but they saw, I don't know who this person is actually, Swords and Gold. I don't know their connection.
Yeah, I'm not familiar.
But they took they took pictures of this in packaging in hand. So I don't know if they're in the studio or what the deal is, but it says they're almost out, right? And so I think that's cool. I'm excited to see those drop in maybe the end of 2024 or 2025.
Yeah, they
but
almost look like they're ready to go right here. So who
yeah,
knows?
I
We
think
may
these are
be seeing
done.
them next month.
Yep.
Depending on how it gets over the ship. So,
but make sure you're 16, kids. This is not for you if
16
you're
plus.
15.
Any
This is
kids.
Yeah. This is going to come out at some point. I don't know if it's next year or what the deal is, but they've got sort of an Eastern looking dragon, very Chinese inspired dragon figure for Furay Planet. Pretty cool looking.
Yeah. The detail here, scales, sculpt, everything. Like, it's great because it's kind of like that mustache style look that just kind of like becomes this ethereal smoke almost in the way the hair is done. But that's very much how it's depicted within Chinese lore and in the paintings and drawings and stuff like that. Incorporating that into this sculpt, incredible work. I mean, that is some fine detail. Right down to the textures. Look at this.
All sorts of dragons coming down, man, and people clearly are putting in their attention. And yes, it is going to move. People are asking on this one. I just wanted to show this one because they showed that Paint Master earlier. But yes, it's fully movable, articulated. They just I'm curious to see how that works. And obviously, it looks like there's going to be some limits here with everything that's going on. But regardless, I'm not going to start talking about what it's lacking. I'm just going to talk about what I'm seeing right here, which is pretty
eye candy, like pure eye candy.
But wait, there's more. And this is the thing where it's not exactly in the Furay Planet. They were saying that this is a little bit of a collaboration with Liu Gongxi. And this is like clearly like a Mad Max type character, but Mad Monkey.
Yeah. I was getting a little bit like, I know it's again like that play on Mad Max, but it feels like very Fist of the North Star with his
outfit. It is. It does. Yes, it 100%. Which there's shared DNA, right? In the post-apocalyptic kind of thing, rogue kind of deal. Yeah, this thing's rad. Like Fist of the North Star, you've already spent your money. You just don't even know it yet. Sorry, that's a deep cut nerdy reference. So that's Furay Planet, Maestro Union, excellent stuff. I'm also I'm definitely looking forward to this. Good pick. If you didn't pick it, it was definitely something I would have said as well.
Can't get
how about this?
Oh my gosh!
Oh my gosh! I know I put this in here, but I knew you're also. We've been talking about these for a while. And this is a twofer, right? It's like there's this group of companies who are making unlicensed World of Warcraft product, and basically going deeper into the character base and all the different race types and stuff. So yes, they've been doing like orcs, but now they're working into like these guys. I wrote it down. I'm totally not. No, it's like what is it? I know Thanos could help me out, but I actually grabbed this from Thanos, breaking it down yesterday. War Chief Black Hand. So yes, this whole like alt reality where the what do you call it? I don't know, whatever. Sorry, Thanos.
So like
you can do it.
Yeah, within the games and everything like that, they have like this alternate universe where within the lore, orcs drank some demon blood, got corrupted, kind of thing. This is along the lines of Thanos was telling us last night, what if they did?
Yeah,
kind of thing. I gotta say, you and Thanos have almost got me in such a pickle getting these guys. I'm really glad that somehow I've managed to have the willpower. Actually, it's just that my bank account can't literally go this deep.
Yeah.
So I live vicariously through the two of you guys with this stuff. And I absolutely love seeing it. It did make me go and get my affordable orcs, the ones that I could get from Mythic Legions, but they're still just not the right size because the orcs they should be bigger than the humans.
That's the thing. That's what I love about these. I'm in the same place with the Legions. I love Legions. Don't get me wrong. But, but just that, like, I love the giant monstrous orc thing. And this whole like gray looking thing. I just think it's absolutely cool. I don't know anything past Warcraft 3, and I barely finished that game. But like World of Warcraft is a whole other thing they just
Warcraft 1, Warcraft 2, Warcraft 3. I played World of Warcraft for like 6 months, and I had to pull out because otherwise I'd probably still be playing World of Warcraft at this point.
Totally. A little quick bits. This is actually by Mithril Action, who does these. They're pretty big, sizable, like almost 8.5 inch or so, maybe even 9-inch figures. I'm looking for my Blade Master, but they're built in a style that's very similar to a Storm Collectibles figure with an underframe and sort of that soft plastic body. But clearly they've latched onto something that they know they can reuse a lot of the parts and the body type and just create new, paint styles and armor styles. And I'm totally here for it. I can't get them all, but this is one that I'm like, ooh, I want that one. And then, as I said, there are like multiple companies, right? Yeah. So this is now Toyz, formerly Memory Toys.
Right.
And so here you've got like, this is an older figure, but to the left is a prototype of Grom Hellscream or Gromish Hellscream. Again, a thing I had to research. I don't know about it. I'm borrowing from Robo. I don't know. But
just go back and look at the World of Warcraft or the Warcraft 2 instruction booklet. They had the breakdowns with Grom Hellscream in there.
Oh, are they in there? Even then, it's just like, just look at how cool this big giant figure is. Sure.
Right.
But I'm just on the face of it, this thing looks rad. Like, and it would look awesome going up against my Minotaurs from Zezre or Hordak.
I was thinking that same thing, man. Those Zezre Minotaurs versus these orcs, like total Colosseum vibes.
So 2025, Toyz. Looking forward to seeing what actually ends up coming out next year. There's all sorts of stuff. See, he was breaking it down. Actually, he looks really, yes. And he looked kind of more, what's the word? I guess basic, right? So it was super early in the game. And Grom is a beast, says no Lynn. So cool stuff. What's this? Definitely recommend Play Nice by Jason Schreier. Speaking of Warcraft, really good retro of Blizzard games. A documentary? If so, I'm all about that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out.
See, here you go. See, that's the goal. So as folks watch live, thank you, Thanos. Thanos is helping out by like copying. I basically put a file together with all the links that he throws into the live chat, and then after, if you go to that URL and QR code that's on the bottom of the screen in the bottom left, you can go check those out.
Right.
So yes, and he knows what that's all about. And wonder if he'll do the green and tan versions, the corrupted.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I hope so. Like, I really would like to see that. I love the way they really, really pull me back into wanting to get involved with the toys. Want me to get involved with the games, and then if I get involved with the games, I'm gonna have no choice but to buy the toys.
If you get involved in the games, I will no longer see you, friends. So don't get involved in the games.
Yeah, Clubhouse might disappear on Saturday nights, and I can't do that to everybody.
All right, so that was my pick. I think the other one that we're looking forward to in 2025. This is yours. Some good Furay toys.
Furay toys, not to be confused with Furay Planet, which is what I was doing.
And so folks might know this as the folks who are doing those smaller season-themed, not Ninja Turtles. So like autumn and maybe spring, maybe summer and fall. I don't remember winter. I don't know who all came out.
Right.
I know autumn came out. But they're also doing like other stuff. So this was one that was a 2024 exclusive for an upcoming thing. This figure actually hasn't come out. Sorry, this style of figure didn't come out. It's been sort of solicited for a while now, but before the actual figures come out, they end up taking one and turning it into a variant with a different paint style with some translucent stuff going on. And that's what you're seeing here, the Angeriler. But there's like a whole line of these awesome bulky fish people that are coming. I don't know what exactly from Furay you were looking at. I was kind of guessing, but between this and maybe this,
there's right. They're big blue lion, because lions are really hot right now, right?
Yep.
So you got stuff like this. You got like the fish people. I love the fact that they're doing fish people, because other than outside of Savage Crucible, Nobody's
Right.
doing fish stuff, you know,
Right.
and we need some fishy people. We were just talking in highly articulate Adams chat about mermaids and fishtails.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
this is kind of stuff that I love to see out there. The big guys ain't giving it to us, so we got to go to the indie guys for it. And fortunately, there are indie guys doing it. So,
100%.
like, everything these guys are touching are doing, and you know, again, like even with the big blue lion that they've got going on here, Blade Masters galore. Like, look at this. Look at that.
Yeah, I'm in for this. Is actually, so there are, like you said, there are a couple of different Azure Lions or Blue Lions coming out of the whole Journey to the West thing. That same with Sun Wukong.
Yeah.
For Furay Toys, they're calling their line Demon Force, I believe is what it's called. And this is their
Yes.
Azure Lion. I went with this one, although the other one is the Noda one is awesome,
Right?
but
Yeah.
like it's so cool, and it's we're not getting enough of you know, from the West at least. We weren't getting enough of some of the stuff coming out of, like, say, Chinese lore, or
Right.
you know, other parts of Asia, Indian lore. And so I'm glad to
Yeah.
see these, and I'm glad to see them just doing it and saying, like, here, if you're interested, we're gonna produce some stuff coming out of some lore and mythology and folklore that you may not be familiar with, but we think it's pretty cool and we think you might like it. And I think they're right.
Oh yeah. I mean, I just look at this and I'm thinking, like, this standing right next to my figure Obscura Sun Wukong, like, because even like elements of the armor and stuff like that, like, totally match with that, right?
Yep.
And
All
they are going to look,
based on the same stuff.
yeah, they're going to look absolutely amazing on a shelf together. And again, that detail, that sculpt, you're not getting that from the big guys, but they're bringing it hard in the indies right now.
I'd like to co-sign this comment 100%. And
right there with you.
Yeah, this thing is fantastic. Furay Toys is doing some great stuff. And again, these are just companies that we're saying, like, hey, they weren't at Legion's Con, but they kind of fit into that same sort of direction of these brand new upstart companies making some dope stuff. And I think, you know, in some cases like this one, I think paint and sculpt that's on the level with the kind of excellence that Four Horsemen put out into the world.
Yeah, it's fully that work of art.
Yep. For me, you mentioned with the fish people, Savage Crucible. That's my pick, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they've got coming in 2025, because I was in for the first 3 waves of that they actually did a Kickstarter for. So I've got a bunch of figures coming in from them. So I'm just waiting for wave 2 to come in. I will say that, like, there were some issues with the first wave that I know they're correcting, like the feet in particular. They won't moving forward have this toe joint.
Toe crunch.
Yeah. And they made some adjustments to the feet, so hopefully they stand better. That was my biggest issue with the wave 1 figures, and they are going to give us new feet to replace those that hopefully will address it. But I will say, for like a brand new company doing something cool and really trying to, like, create, you know, more articulated figures with a high level of sculpt and paint details, they're really cool. And so this is
absolutely,
this was a surprise figure that they dropped that is now available for order, I believe, in their current sale. Yeah. And so they had Jay Hernandez drop this sort of preview. This is a early not even like a full production figure, but it's still pretty cool. Mostly a repaint and reuse of some parts with some newer things. One item, I forget which, but still cool. Like, it was a nice little surprise. And as a Motu person, what do you think of when you see this?
Oh, you know, again, absolutely 100% loving reptiles like I do. Like, out of all the animals, the bear holds the highest esteem for me, but reptiles as a whole family reside with me. Again, goes back to the whole dino thing. So when these guys are hitting the market and they've got all these Lemurians, these lizard people and stuff like that, I'm just like, oh man, I like that look. I love that look. And this guy right here, like, what was it, Thursday or Wednesday, they dropped this and they start showing them off. I don't know if anybody else picks up on it, but we got like green body with yellow stripes and red armor. You You know, and I'm like, am I looking at Battle Lizard here? Like, you know, this is awesome. Like, I gotta have this in the collection, period. I can't not. The whole stylized armor, it's definitely a full call out to Battle Cat. And
yeah, they were saying that it wasn't intentional. And
sure,
Rob
I can
Post,
believe
the
that it
owner
wouldn't.
company, was just sort of saying like, oh yeah, I didn't realize it till after, but like he totally sees it too.
Yeah,
and it's kind of cool. It's fun, you know. It's
well,
kind
right.
of a fun.
So two entities can come up with a very similar idea at the, you know, times without realizing it. Like take Jason with actually Armies of Ashmore with Matt Rodriguez. He'd never seen Dino Riders, or not Dino Riders, Dino Saucers before, right? And then people kept telling him when they were seeing his stuff that it reminded them of Dino Saucers, and he went and he looked it up and he goes, I understand why they feel like that. Like he did his designs and his color schemes the way he thought they looked cool, and then realized when people brought it to their attention. So I could totally see where he's like, I got this green lizard, it's looking cool. Oh man, you know what? The contrast with some yellow stripes on the sides looking really neat.
Yeah.
And then totally. If I did red armor on that, that would really, holy crap, I made Battle Lizard. You know, like I could see that just happening. So
I'm excited to see what comes in 2025 with this company. I think they're doing some cool stuff. Shout out to Jay Hernandez, who, if for some weird reason you've never seen, you need to go and check out his reviews. They're dope. There's always this like, he takes you through the articulation in a way that I really appreciate. It's real kind of like systematic, but also there's this whole musical thing going on that brings me back to my Nintendo days. So shout out to Jay Hernandez. Shout out to Savage Crucible. Looking forward to seeing what comes next. This is yours. Speaking of lizards, you said you were into lizards.
Well, you know, you got to save that almost best for last. I'm actually kind of glad it went last for this one, because we started with talking about, like, you know,
actually, believe it or not last, but keep going. Yeah.
Oh, well, last of my choices, right?
Yeah.
And we started tonight off talking about Defenders of Eden, which I absolutely love. And these guys right here, Axie Toys, with their like battlefield dinosaurs that they've been putting out over the years. They've done a Carnotaurus, they've done a T-Rex, they got Allosaurus. I love dinos. And these guys are like, well, what if they were anthropomorphic? We slapped armor on them and put them in an arena together. And again, like, you totally look at these guys going up against, say, you know, the Zesre Minotaurs and things of that nature. You know, like, you can see all these things existing in a world together, working together. And again, the articulation on these is great. We didn't get that pit, but you know, that's okay.
Well, I'll show that too. That is something that they're working on. It's not pit though. Don't get it twisted. But
I'm sorry, not pit.
But these dinosaurs are really cool. And as you pointed out, I was trying to show the other pics of their other ones, but you can kind of see them here, which is funny that it's like a perfect transition from Savage Crucible, because you see the Savage Crucible figures here. Yeah. And then you see the two main body types between this one and this one.
The larger,
I believe. Yeah. There's this like sort of Tyrannosaurus Rex thing. These things are super cool. I actually don't own one, but I don't eyeing it.
I just love them. I love how they look. I can't afford them though. Like, you know, it's terrible.
Every review I see, like, they're solid. This is Shardamus's. That was Jay Hernandez's. This is Toy Bros. Like, they've really taken through the paces. Dorclair was one of the first that sort of broke it down for me over here. So anyway, someday I will. But I am also very curious to see what comes in from 2025 if they end up moving into other dinos, because I've seen the early sketches of what they wanted to do. And so, like, there's a bunch of things they have planned. So,
yeah, so far everything's just been like majorly like the larger theropod dinosaurs. And for your non-dino nerds, that's the larger carnivorous two-legged guys.
Let me push up my glasses. Okay, guys.
Yeah, little flex there. Actually, now,
this was something they were going to do, as you pointed out. I don't know what the status is. For some reason, that page does not want to work.
Right,
But,
it's all in limbo right now with that one.
Yep. And then they also do this kind of sort of more art toy kind of thing with their is it 12 boys, or what is it called? But it's an interesting little like take on 12 bones. The whole Mickey Mouse, like, you know, art toy stuff. And so Dynamo Dave, it is overwhelming, especially now as we're rushing. And that's the thing, man. It's like, I think back to even like 10 years ago, and it's like, yeah, you were like real niche and sort of like artisanal if you were buying like Mythic Legion's thing from a Kickstarter that you heard about, right? Now, like, how many more outlets? Of course, there's still the Kickstarter thing, but like, how many more new companies are there? It is absolutely overwhelming. Buy what moves you. That's the thing. We now have choices. But I revel in the like options. I just think it's so damn cool that we can get a Mickey Mouse parody kind of thing going on, and alongside an anthropomorphic, you know, dinosaur.
Right,
warrior.
the same company making this, like, even just like whatever that next picture is down there with like those little like lucky cats or whatever they got like going on right underneath, like, sure, giant dino guys and cat accessories. Let's go with it.
All right, let's oops, there's a drink here that could get knocked over. Let's move to Morphonauts, combat creatures. Love it,
man. Yes. Yeah, these guys making like true dreams come true right here. Well, I say guy. I love Morphonauts.
Yeah. And I'm with Ray. Like, I love all this stuff, and I need to be a millionaire as well. But damn, there's these should be dropping soon. I am really curious to see how they work out. I want to bring Bo back on to kind of talk more about it and see where he's at. But it was cool to kind of see this final production fig next to a Valaverse to kind of like get some sense of scale next to I don't know what that figure's from, some kind of monkey dude.
Some unfamiliar.
Yeah. But so I'm really looking forward to these. And that was my wife who's like, wrap it up, Pete. So we'll move. But hey, Bo, shout out to Bo and the project. Like I said, go check out Kickstarter updates, folks. Those links will be there. And I actually think that's perfect timing because we are on our last one. Good friend of ours, Ken, Toy Connections, is now a toy maker himself. He was once just a sort of YouTube chronicler of toys. Just today, his company, 5x5, did an update on their Delta 17 toy line and kind of like where they're at. And I haven't watched it yet, so I don't totally know. It was like him and Steve, the two sort of folks behind the line, breaking down what's going on. This was your pick. Talk to us about some 3.75-inch O-ring action.
All right. So again, I have grown well more into the 1/12 scale. And, you know, I was originally about my 5.5 with my He-Man. But let's face it, there's been a lot of really cool 1/18 scale toys around forever. Like, it is that if you like play sets, you like vehicles, you like accessories, right? Like, this is your scale. And Delta 17, if you're a Joe fan, and I'm not a huge Joe fan, I will admit that. But I did have quite a few G.I. Joes when I was a little kid that I used to love having my little war games with. Delta 17 really fills that void with me because Hasbro wasn't really putting out many in that O-ring. And it's all new stuff, too. Like, this isn't just, we're re-releasing characters from 20 years ago kind of thing. Like, no, they're giving us all new stuff. So you got the Delta 17 squad right here, as well as, like, other commanders. You got the whole squad shown there, which is pretty much the majority of Wave 1.
These are basically the heroes of the line.
Yes, these are all the good guys. You've got 2 enemy factions, not just one. So they're on the other lines. And they've kind of only put out like a little bit of the enemies right now because they mostly wanted to get you out your Delta 17 squad. With these guys, you may have seen that larger kind of tank style thing that was going on.
That's the thing that's coming up. They teased that
a
little bit ago. That's the hailstorm. That's going to be sort of the things coming down the pike. That was over here. And then just today in that stream, I was sort of showing the visual. They're talking
just got in
about
these prototypes, right? So you can go check that out. But this is their 1.5. This is going to be out next year, as well as they've got some other cool stuff coming out next year too. So definitely check out Ken's stream earlier to get the latest updates. And I'm excited to see what more they will bring to the table throughout 2025 as we get to see moving beyond going into 2026. So
you definitely need to run this one back. There's a bunch of good stuff in here. What's up, KJ? Black Angus, awesome channel. Go check him out.
Yes.
I really appreciate everybody who was here today. Thank you for the conversation. There's we started the conversation, anchored it in Legions Con, right? We both came out of there and saw a bunch of cool stuff. And then the reality is it goes beyond that, right? Four Horsemen, as we've sort of established, help initiate this space for a bunch of folks to get super creative. And in some cases, folks are coming in as new toy lines to come in, do their thing. We got folks like Josh Brown creating parts to take your figures to the next level. You got folks like Shelf Gravy who are like, let's give these places a home. So, man, I love it. It's good stuff. I appreciate everyone who sort of came through to kind of hang out and talk toys with us. You, friend, I appreciate you and your naked baby face. Thank you for hopping on today on a Sunday afternoon. Seriously. And I hope you and everybody else have a good holiday week. Are you getting up to anything? You gonna spend time with folks?
Well, Thursday, as I said, my family, they're working. So Thursday night, we're not going to be doing anything. But yeah, I will be live streaming Thursday night for those lonely souls who may not be seeing anybody or have any plans for Thursday night. I will be on my channel doing a get together for that. So guess what, guys? If you're not doing anything on a Thursday, why don't you come hang out over at Ozstradamus Toyz? I'll take care of you. We'll hang out and have a good time. We'll talk more about all of this crazy stuff. And then there's going to be a Clubhouse Cafe on Saturday for that. Because that's when I will be doing my Thanksgiving dinner. So we're not going to do the usual Clubhouse that night. We'll see. Maybe I'll hit that go live button.
Okay.
Yeah, next Saturday morning we'll do a little get together before everybody gets too busy in the days, and that'll be live on the channel. But
nice. Okay.
Those are my holiday plans. Spending it with all you guys doing live streams.
Woo-woo. I and the family will be heading out to Arizona tomorrow for a couple of days, and hopefully hoping to maybe connect with Thomas again, who was on the channel last Sunday, and just be super grateful for all of this, man. I'm super grateful for all the awesome toys, all the creative people in the world who are getting now the space to kind of put their stuff out into the world, and ultimately so that we can be nerds and have fun and talk about it on YouTube. So anyway, thank you to everybody. Again, Oz, always great to have you here, man. I appreciate you. You're a regular here, and I definitely appreciate, I feel like we can just vibe and talk toys. So
always.
Cool. All right, folks. I hope everybody has a great week. I hope it's a short week for folks. And I hope you get some time to get stuffed and eat some really good food. Cool. All right, everybody. Here's where I play music, and there it is. Yay. Because I still don't know how to end these things, dude, but whatever. I like how you end.
Cut myself off.
Yeah, I like how you do that. It's just kind of like, screw it. Let's figure out an ending, and it'll be
right.
Yeah. They can't see me right now. I'm dancing like it's so damn good. I got moves for days, man. It's like,
I believe it.